Hello, welcome back to our channel. If you are new here, my name is Taylor. On this channel, it's me, my husband Billy, and then our son Sullivan. Now, our story is kind of different than a lot of people's because our kiddo was born in end-stage kidney failure. He's on his way to a kidney transplant, and I'm actually going to be his kidney donor. What does it take to become a kidney donor? Step one, the first thing, if you want to be a kidney donor, you can do it for a specific person, or you can just do it for anyone, really. There's also something called a paired kidney exchange that you can do if you are not a match for somebody, but you want to donate and give them more priority on the kidney transplant list. So anyways, I was donating to a specific person, so there was a phone number that I was given to call, and that's for our kidney transplant center. So in my case, that is University of Washington Medical Center. So that's who I worked through, and then our kiddo is at Seattle Children's. The first thing they have you do is you call them, and then they send you like a general health survey. So on this, they're screening for basic things like diabetes issues, blood pressure, pre-existing medical conditions, kidney stones are another one. Now these things might not disqualify you, but they want to gather as much information on you as possible. And they do this because oftentimes there's several people that call, and so this is kind of their first glance at their donor pool, and they're going to pick the best one from this to then move on to the next stage. Now, the next stage, if you are selected out of this donor pool, is they are going to officially ask you to release your medical records. And so it's a form that you sign, and basically you give them all of your past history. So from the time you were born until now, they can see every physical you went to, OBGYN appointment, primary care, ear, nose, throat, whatever you've been to, they get all of those records, and then they do a deep dive as a team into them. And so they're kind of looking for those same things that the survey was, but now it's like the official documentation of some of these things. And they may come back to you with questions of, different things that pop up on your records, whatever those may be. And then based on those, they can see kind of your recent doctor visit history, I guess you could say it. And so if you haven't gone to a primary care provider in the last year, they're going to make you do that next. And then if you're a woman, you have to go to your OBGYN and do your yearly pap smear screening. So if you've already kind of up to date on that, you skip on to the next step. But I think this also could take a long time because sometimes it's really hard to get into those people. So if you're interested, make sure your primary care is up to date and your OBGYN if you're a woman. Step 4. This is the first kind of like official kidney test. It's called an HLA cross-match test. And this is kind of the one that people, that like general term of like, we found a match. This is when you kind of find out if you are a match. And so they're going to screen you for blood type initially, so you need to match the person that you're trying to donate to. In our case, our son is O positive, I'm O positive, I knew that, but in your blood, they kind of explained it kind of like genes. You have like 6 types of genes, and you inherit 3 from your mom, 3 from your dad. Those genes don't all have to match, so like we don't have to have the same 6 because there's like hundreds of combinations of these. And so we don't have to have the exact same 6, but none of our 6 can attack each other. So there's certain antibodies that will attack each other, and then that's what causes rejection in the organ. So like in my son's case, we knew 3 of his were going to be fine because they're from me. The 3 from his dad, we weren't sure if my blood would attack his blood in a sense. So if you pass that, you go on to the next step, and this would be step 5 now, 24-hour urine study. Now, honestly, I find these to be the most annoying tests of any of them. So they give you a jug, it's probably like this big, and a little urine hat if you're a girl. And every time you pee in the span of 24 hours, you collect it, put it in the jug, collect it, put it in the jug, collect it, put it in the jug. When 24 hours is up, you have to take it immediately to the lab, and they run that, and then they also do a blood draw for your renal function, so renal, another word for kidney, and then your creatinine. And creatinine is like a main blood toxin that they can judge your kidney function off of. Now, if you pass that, then you keep going on, and we get to step 6. This step only applies if you're under 35 years old. Now, I forgot to mention, but at least at our center, anybody over 45 was disqualified. So you needed to be between the ages of 18 and 45. Now, but if you're under 35, step 6 applies to you, and that is a genetic test for kidney risk factors. And so it's a cheek swab that they'll send you in the mail, and then you send it back. This one takes like a month to 2 to get results, and then you have to do a genetic counseling session with it as well. But it's going to show you risk factors you have for developing kidney disease later in life. And now this isn't saying that you will have kidney disease later in life, but if you have a significant risk for developing something that would harm your kidneys in the first place, they'll disqualify you from donating. But you can be carriers of certain genes and things like that. But if you're a carrier, that means you only have like one set of it. So it would be like if me and my husband went to have another baby and we both carried it, then we could give our baby that. And those don't disqualify you. But if you have like a present gene, that could disqualify you. So my company was called Natera. Again, send it to you in the mail, you send it back. Okay, then we have step 7. This is when you first start meeting with the team, and these are telehealth visits. So these are kind of like the precursors to step 8, which is a full day of clinic visits. So step 7, here I met for about an hour with a nephrologist, which is a kidney doctor for our donation center. I met with a social worker, and they're gonna talk about different ways to fundraise, if you're working, how you get paid leave, all those kinds of pieces, a financial counselor. Now, when you go to donate a kidney, the cool part of it is the recipient's insurance actually covers you, so you should be paying nothing. And then the fourth one is a nurse coordinator. So whenever you're going through a process that's kind of lengthy like this, you have like your point person, and that's your nurse coordinator, and they're working with everybody else to make sure everybody's on the same page. So you meet all those people, and then when all of that is done, you move on to step 8. Now, step 8 is like the most is involved here, but it's in the shortest span of time, which is crazy. So it's in one day you're gonna actually go to the transplant center in person. So I went up to UW with my husband. The very first thing that you're gonna have to do is a fasted blood draw. And this was, I'm not gonna lie, a little bit intense because they're taking like 15 to 20 vials of blood. And you haven't eaten anything in 12 hours, and so you're just like kind of lightheaded. So they tell you bring food, bring snacks, so that immediately afterward you can kind of refuel yourself. Those blood tests, a lot of it is checking for like infectious diseases you may have, and they'll run that against the person you're donating to just because you're introducing those to their body. They're going to do your blood type, they're going to do your glucose levels, they're going to do just a whole slew of things there. You'll actually start getting those results as you're at the other appointments throughout the day, and so they'll tell you some of those things as you go. Then you have a whole bunch of consultations where you meet these people face to face. So the nephrologist, the surgeon team, the nutritionist, independent living donor advocate. So this is somebody who you're supposed to be like your confidant. So they're not connected at all to the recipient. They want to make sure you're doing this of your own free will. You're not being forced or coerced or paid or something like that. And that nurse coordinator. They're also going to take you to get an EKG. So they want to check your heart rhythm. They'll do your blood pressure, temperature, weight, height, all that kind of stuff. You do a chest x-ray, and then the last thing is a CT scan. The CT scan is kind of cool because for the first time you get to see like pictures of your kidneys. And in my case, if you're familiar, we actually discovered I had a duplex kidney on one side. So I almost had, it looks like 2 kidneys fused together. It's still just like 1 kidney, but it has a little bit extra function. So never knew that in life until then. So maybe you'll have some surprises too. And then once you have completed all of these steps, now you've kind of done all of the general testing. They'll send you on your way that day, and then they meet in committee meetings. At our center, I think it's every week on like Tuesdays. So they meet and then they say their decision on you. So they told us most people are denied the first time through. And I was denied, but not fully. They just say we need additional testing. Step 10 is if there's any additional testing, and then their final decision. So in my case, additional testing, they wanted to do a genetic test on my kiddo just because, you know, we're the same family line, and so they wanted to make sure he didn't have some of these things that they thought I might be carrying. I also had to do a urinogram, which is a nuclear medicine test where they can actually see what % function each of your kidneys has. And they did that for me because they wanted to make sure that with the duplex one, it wasn't doing like a huge percentage more work than the other kidney. They wanted to make sure they were both functioning. And then the last thing I had to do was another 24-hour urine test, and this time to check for like kidney stone risk factors. So that's kind of it. And then once you do all those tests, they meet again. They're going to talk to, like in our case, the Children's Hospital, make sure their team is good with the kidney, and then they're good with you giving the kidney. And then once everything is settled, you just wait till they're ready and you schedule a surgery date. So that's kind of the general overview of what it looks like to be a kidney donor. I hope, first of all, this video was helpful, and I hope you'll join us for the rest of our journey. Thanks, you guys.